Hello, welcome to Undisputed Boxing. We're back to review Josh Taylor versus Jose Ramirez. Apologies, we're a little bit late with this video. I've managed to drag Rick onto a quick Zoom session. He's a little bit heartbroken from United's defeat against Villarreal. Yeah, long overdue. Obviously, there's been a lot of chat online and videos and channels and whatnot. In terms of the result and what it means, and where this puts him now in terms of British greats already. People are talking about his achievements already, which fantastic. But let's break down the fight first. Rick, what did you make of it?
I think I got my prediction bang on here.
You did actually. It was spot on. I think you said it will be close and points. I put, late stoppage, but we'll come on to mine in a minute. But yeah, break it down for us.
Well, I did another typical me where I got up to, I thought the ring walks were at 4, so got up at 2:45 and sorry, 4:45 and turned on, and there were only 3 rounds in.
Yeah.
So that didn't help. That's not helped my analysis.
Yeah.
I was a bit worried for Josh Taylor early on. I thought, not because I thought he was losing. It's just I thought the judges might, because he was quite aggressive, Ramirez, and he was coming forward, and the crowd were going wild every time he threw in something and that. And so when he got that first knockdown, I thought, well, that's kind of shored it up. And then he got the second knockdown, and then Ramirez just turned into a different fighter. He obviously felt the power. He was stunned by it, and then Josh Taylor just went into kind of autopilot, and he almost took a few I'd like to see him put his foot down a little bit more. I'm not quite sure what he was doing. He's almost coasting, and I thought to myself, is he just saving himself for the last 3 rounds? But he didn't really step it up in the last 3 rounds. And we'll go on to the scorecards at the end, but I just thought to myself, you've got to, I'd always assume over there you've lost, you're a few rounds down, just always assume.
Yeah.
And I was a bit worried. And at the end of the fight, I was like, he should have won this, but he's made it a little bit more edgy for me now. And then the scorecards come through, and every right to be edgy. And it was because the scorecards for me were probably a bit too narrow. I didn't score the first couple of rounds, but my overall thought that it was a bit wide, especially with the knockdowns.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my initial views. How do you see it all?
Yeah, well, I was really pleased at how he started, because Josh Taylor does typically start a little bit slow. It's almost like he likes to download information and just sort of feint and feel them out and work, But I gave him the first round, and then I think I gave Jose Ramirez the next 4 rounds. I thought Jose Ramirez, it was almost like he let him back into the fight. So it was quite frustrating to watch. And you're right, the crowd were getting going as Jose Ramirez was landing. But then Josh Taylor obviously dropped him in 6, I think it was, and then dropped him again in 7, heavy.
I think it was 5. I think it was 5 and 6.
5 and 6. Sorry, yeah. And yeah, I mean, I was super impressed. Super impressed. I thought, like I said in my sort of prediction, he can box long, mid range. He doesn't mind trading on the inside. He's got beautiful combinations, uppercuts. I did think that I predicted a stoppage, a late stoppage, and I wonder if he was still under Shane McGuigan, whether he would have got that late stoppage. Because I just think, Ben Davison, because you've obviously mentioned as well how he got the 2 knockdowns and then he kind of coasted a little bit. And I think that Ben Davison was very, as a coach, he's quite cautious, and he likes to box a move, don't get involved. And he very similar kind of instructions that he gave to Tyson Fury against Wilder, the first one. And I don't just wonder whether Ben Davison as a coach is going to be the right coach for moving forward, because I do remember Josh Taylor in his earlier fights being a lot more aggressive and putting the pressure on. Look, I hate to sort of talk about it like that and be negative, because I do think that his achievements are amazing, and I think already for me Josh Taylor is in the top, at least at the top 10 top British fighters of all time in the last sort of 30 years. I'd say. I think his achievements are that great. But I don't know. I just sort of feel like if I just felt like he could have stopped him. Like if he really put it on him, I really felt like he was there. He was kind of there for the taking. But you know, all things considered, I thought, you know, I think I scored at 8-4. And then with the 2 knockdowns, you know, it was a comfortable points victory for me on Taylor. But the scorecards, I was quite. I thought that they were way too narrow for how I thought the fight played out. Because 114, 112, I think it was. If Taylor doesn't knock him down in round 5 or 6, and Ramirez wins that round, Ramirez wins on points on all 3 scorecards, which for me is crazy.
It's interesting because I saw a thing that like some Ramirez fans were saying, you know, it should have been tight because CompuBox had I think Josh Taylor only landing something like 7 punches more. But then it's not scored like that, like for 2 reasons. One, it's, you know, you've got to score it by round.
Yeah.
And then if you look at it, I think Josh Taylor outlanded Ramirez on like 9-3 rounds.
Yeah.
It was just a few rounds where he outlanded him a lot more, Ramirez.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's down to each round. You can't go, you know. But then also, CompuBox doesn't look at the quality and the fact that he's at the deck. So that even says to me even more that it was narrow.
Yeah.
You know. So, but I don't know. It's not a surprise. I mean, I think you've just got to expect that, and that was my thing. Where, you know, let's face it. By round 6, he'd knocked him down twice, but you know, he probably didn't have a huge lead, even though he knocked him down twice, because you could assume that the judges maybe gave Ramirez the first 4 rounds, and then he's almost like back in the game.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I would have been saying it in the corner. I'd be saying, listen, you know, you've clearly won those 2 rounds, but you're probably only just up or level. Yeah. So you need to like go on. And he did push on. I did think like 7 and 8, he bossed it because Ramirez was a bit all over the show. But then he just seemed to take like 9 and 10 off. And I thought, well, he's going to rally. And he just never did.
Yeah.
So you've got to be careful that Ben Davis doesn't cost him a fight.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's I guess the point I'm trying to make. And I don't want to kind of dig up Ben Davison. You know, he's obviously a very good trainer, but yeah, I just wonder with, you know, slightly more aggressive tactics or maybe throwing caution to the wind a little bit, because he has all the ability to do that. But yeah, I don't know whether he was just, you know, erring on the side of caution, box and move. But you know, when you're in somebody's backyard and you're the away fighter, and you're not clearly winning those rounds, and you're boxing and moving, not all judges like that, and you can, you know, you could potentially, you know, lose a fight as a result. But
he did show his quality though. You know, I mean, that first knockdown. You know, if you look at some of the things, that first knockdown was just great. You know, movement. It wasn't the same punch, but it was the same head movement. You know, that Joshua did against Charles Martin. We kind of moved his head and countered him. It was that, but a bit shorter, and he showed he had power at short range. Yeah. And then the uppercut was just kind of more lack of, you know, showed good experience. Yeah. But he also land and then he'd go into clinch. Yeah. You know what I mean? So he'd obviously come to a game plan where I'll land and then I'll clinch and I'll hold and then I'll let go. You know what I mean? It's almost like hit, and then before the counter comes in, you've clinched him. Yeah. So they'd obviously worked on a game plan. So he proved a lot there. You know, he can box to orders. He, you know, great reflexes. You know, wouldn't call them dirty tactics, but you know, he knew how to kind of not even bend the rules, just play the game. You know what I mean? A bit. Yeah. What do you think about his comments in that? You know, I saw an interview with him since then. I was up against 5 men in there, the judges, which we've kind of covered off. Ramirez, but then the ref, because my view on the ref is, and to be fair, he's consistent when I've seen him, whatever his name is. I'm pretty sure he reffed the Klitschko Joshua fight, and he doesn't half give someone who's been knocked down an awful amount of time. You know, he does the count. I mean, they were saying he always gave him 15 seconds. He doesn't count slow, but they get up and he like talks to them side to side. Give me your gloves. Are you still okay? Okay, you know what I mean? So they seem to have a lot of time to recover. And then if you're a bit, and he did this with the Joshua Klitschko fight, if you're a bit too eager, he'll turn around to you and he'll be like, get back. And he'll wait till you've moved back to the corner, then he'll turn back around. Are you okay? You know what I mean? It's like, give the guy, and I don't know if that's his style to almost think, right, well, it's more entertaining if I give this person a bit longer, and then they, you know.
Yeah.
What did you think? Did you pick up on that?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't read too much into that, to be honest. I thought, yeah, maybe he has given a bit of time. I mean, there's all sorts of
conspiracy. That's his name, Bayless. Yeah. I don't get me wrong. I don't think he was. You know, I don't think it's a corruption thing or anything like that. Because I've seen him do it in the Joshua fight. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think it's just his style, but it's not that good. I'd be saying to him, you know, in the locker room, in the change rooms beforehand, you know, are you going to give everyone 20 seconds just so I know?
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, there are a few people saying that the judge, you know, that the what they call the promotional outfit,
Top Rank
wanted Ramirez to win.
Yeah,
and so
I've heard that. Yeah. I thought he kept on breaking them up a little bit rather than, because both the fighters like to fight in the inside. I thought he could have maybe let them fight a little bit more on the inside. I think he kept on breaking them up a little bit as well. So I didn't think that was great. Didn't have a great night actually, the referee, but you know, that's, you know, sometimes that's the, you know, what they like to do. They have their own style.
Couple of other questions for me. I assume he goes into your pound for pound list now.
Yeah, I mean, if I would have done my pound for pound pre this fight, I think he was probably around about 8 or 9 anyway. But now I probably put him at like maybe 5 or 6. Like I probably put him above Teofimo Lopez.
Well, I think as well, like, you know, I saw the Boxing Boys were doing this, and they were going through their pound for pound, and I mean, they had a weird one. It's all about Wilder really, and PBC with them lot. So it's like Tyson's Fury's number 3 just because he beat Wilder. It's like, well, but then they got Spence high, and I'm like, well, Spence hasn't unified, and he's only ever been at one weight.
Has he unified? No, I don't think he has. No. Yeah. No,
he's just got 2 belts. I'm not saying that's shit. I'm just saying
if he's got 2 belts, he must have unified, hasn't he?
Sorry, not unified. Undisputed. Sorry, he's not been undisputed at a weight. Sorry, that's unified.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like, well, surely, I know it's not always as simple as this, but if you're undisputed at a weight, that trumps just unifying at another weight.
I think.
I know you might go, well, depends if been another weight before, but
yeah, it's so objective though, isn't it? I think pound for pound discussions are very objective, and I mean, you could argue that Josh Taylor's road to Undisputed was probably, he fought much higher quality opposition than Terence Crawford did at light welterweight. You know, at light welterweight, he beat Victor Postol and Julius Ndongo. You know, Josh Taylor has beaten Regis Prograis, Victor Postol, Ivan Baranchyk, and now Jose Ramirez. You know, in my opinion, much higher quality. So, you know, it gets very objective. But then Terence Crawford also beat people at, you know, he's won titles at lightweight as well. You know, beating, you know, Ricky Burns and the Cuban, whose name I forget now.
Was he? Is Crawford 3-weight world champion?
I think he is now. Yeah, he definitely won a title at lightweight. He started at super featherweight, I'm pretty sure, but he absolutely killed himself to make that weight. You know, he had to step up pretty soon. He wasn't able to stay there long. That's my thing.
It's like, you know, Crawford should be really higher than. And again, they wouldn't give. Again, it's just people's bias to certain boxers. I mean, like. Yeah. I know everyone has a bit of a favourite, but you can't erase certain things. So they had like Spence higher than Crawford. It's like, well, if Crawford's like one at 3 weights and he's undisputed in 1, how is that not higher than what Spence has done?
Again, it just comes down to the opposition.
In the past, and then it's like, well, you're going off Fury's past, really.
Yeah. I mean, you could look. I mean, look at, you know, the people that Errol Spence has beaten as well, to get where he's got to. I just see that as the higher opposition, but there we are.
So where does he go from here then, Taylor? What would you want to see him do?
Well, I think the natural, he's got to fight Jack Catterall. I understand he's got a mandatory that he needs to fulfill against Jack Catterall, which is, I think, a WBO mandatory. And I think he deserves that. I mean, I'm not saying that's going to be an easy touch, but he should win that. I'd like to see him fight Jack Catterall in Scotland, maybe towards the end of the year. And then I think next year, maybe he looks to step up to welterweight. I mean, I've heard that he's pretty tight at the weight as it is. I don't think he needs to, and there isn't really any other challenges at light welterweight. But I think, yeah,
does he need to bother with Catterall? Should he not just go, what's there to prove? Step up to welterweight and have a top 15 fight, and then get ready for Crawford.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, those are his options. I think he fights, but I think a homecoming fight. I think it would be nice to see him have a homecoming fight. Whether he'll do that or not, I don't know. I don't think there'll be a lot of money in that Jack Catterall fight, and he'll probably see the money for that Jack Catterall fight and think, I'm just going to vacate. And then, yeah, he'll step up to welterweight and he'll fight maybe, I don't know, who's going to fight at welterweight. I mean, the thing is now, he's got a massive target on his back. He's had so many people call him out. Teofimo Lopez, I think Adrian Broner, because he's got all of the, he's got all 4 belts. So, there's opportunity for somebody to step in and fight him and then become undisputed themselves. But he's got options. He's got a lot of options. But I think Jack Catterall, homecoming in Scotland, and then early next year, step up to welterweight. He doesn't need to jump into the Terence Crawford fight next, because I still think Terence Crawford would probably still beat him as is. But Terence Crawford does he turn 34 this year? So, yeah. Terence Crawford has been frozen out by PBC. He's not getting any big fights at welterweight this year. I think just let him, let his inactivity kind of affect him. I think if he jumps into that fight next, I think Terence Crawford beats him. But I think if he just waits it out and then maybe look at early to middle of next year, and then take a fight at welterweight, somebody like Ugas or I don't know.
I mean, an interesting one would be Ben.
Conor Ben. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, he beats Conor Ben for me. I can't see that happening. Or maybe Amir Khan.
Khan will probably go, well, he has to win a belt at this. He'll come up with some excuse. But actually, he probably would fight someone like him, because he only fights people that he knows if he loses to, he won't lose face. It's basically his rule. So if he loses to, well, that's why he fought Alvarez and Crawford.
Yeah, nothing, isn't it?
So if he fought Thingy and got beat off him, he can go, well, he's unified a division. So that's why he'd never fight Brook, because All right. Let's wrap it up. So we've done this. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. Leave a comments in the comment section. We're going to do a fantasy boxing card on Sunday, along with a prediction for Daniel Dubois against Bogdan Dinu, and we're also going to review. Doing a prediction for that?
Yeah, could do. Well, we'll probably mix it in with some boxing gossip, and then we're going to do a prediction video next for Devin Haney versus Jorge Linares as well. All right, thanks everyone.